Have you ever felt that strange pull, as if someone senses you're finally free of them, ... And that's the moment they return? It's almost mystical, isn't it? That precise instant when your heart finally begins to breathe again. When the ache in your chest softens. When your laughter starts sounding like yours again. That's when his name suddenly flashes across your screen. You stop. You stare. Your breath catches. It feels cosmic, like an invisible thread between you still vibrates somewhere in the unseen. But what if I told you this isn't magic at all? What if Carl Jung would have called it something deeper, something hidden in the rhythm of the human psyche itself? There's a secret truth, one almost every woman overlooks when a man begins to pull away. A truth that explains why he reaches out exactly when you start to let go. Men don't fall in love when they're with you. They fall in love when they're without you. Every time you text again and again, try to explain or fix what feels broken, you don't destroy the bond, you suffocate it. You take away the space his mind needs to realize what he's losing. Love, like breath, grows only when it has room to expand. Distance doesn't destroy attraction. It feeds it. Desire thrives not in constant closeness, but in mystery, in the quiet tension of absence. Men are wired to seek, to chase, to pursue what feels valuable. It's nature's old rhythm, the dance of pursuit and reward. So when you're always available, always ready, always proving your worth, you take away the very chase that ignites his longing. I know it hurts. Silence feels heavy. Distance feels like rejection. But the woman who understands the power of her absence becomes unforgettable. It's not manipulation. It's understanding human nature, what Carl Jung called the transformation through contact. Because when two energies meet and then part, they either fade or they evolve. And the one who can stand in her own center transforms. Before we dive deeper into what really happens when he pulls away, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, SYC Soul. Like this video, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next insight, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. So, what really happens inside a man's mind when he starts to withdraw? When messages slow down, calls fade, and you can feel him drifting like smoke slipping through your fingers. It's not always that he's lost interest, not at first. Something inside him is testing the connection. Carl Jung believed that every soul moves in cycles: connection, retreat, reflection, and return. And men, especially, process emotions through distance. You see, when he starts feeling something real, it stirs both desire and fear. Fear of losing freedom, fear of losing himself, fear of being seen too deeply. And so, unconsciously, he pulls away, not to forget you, but to find himself again. But here's where most women unknowingly make a mistake. They chase. They try to fill the silence with messages, questions, explanations, hoping to bring him back. But the more you try to pull him closer, the more his mind feels the need to escape. It's a paradox, but Jung said the human psyche seeks balance, tension, and release. When one side leans in too hard, the other instinctively leans away. That's why detachment, not pursuit, reignites his curiosity. Because when you stop trying to prove your worth, he begins to remember it. When you no longer fight for his attention, your absence whispers louder than your words ever could. He starts to wonder, has she moved on? Did she stop thinking about me? Was I the only one affected? That curiosity, that haunting uncertainty, reawakens his mind's attraction. It makes him feel again. And when a man begins to feel, he begins to miss. Remember, this isn't a game. This is energy, the law of polarity Jung spoke of. Masculine and feminine energies in constant motion, seeking equilibrium. Your power doesn't come from demanding attention. It comes from holding your center. If this resonates with you, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching this video from. I love reading your thoughts. It shows me that these truths are reaching the right souls. And if you're connecting with what I'm saying, admire the work by giving a quick like before we move forward. Because the next part, the next truth, is where everything begins to shift. Something begins to awaken in him during that silence. At first, it's barely noticeable, just a passing thought. But then, it grows, a subtle ache, a quiet question that refuses to leave him alone. He starts to feel the absence of your energy, that soft presence he once took for granted. Suddenly, he remembers your laugh, your voice, the way your presence calmed his chaos. And without realizing it, he's drawn back into the very emotion he thought he escaped. Carl Jung once said that what you resist not only persists, it transforms into destiny. So when a man resists the emotion you brought into his life, that energy doesn't disappear, it circles back. It waits in the corners of his mind until he's ready to face it again. That's why after days or weeks, sometimes months, you suddenly see his name again. A message. Hey, a random emoji. Nothing deep, nothing serious, but enough to reopen the door. And you feel that rush again, the heartbeat, the memories. But before you answer, pause. Because this is the very moment your true power begins. Most women rush to respond, driven by excitement or longing. But if you've truly evolved, if you've understood the depth of what Jung called the individuation of the self, you'll realize that love isn't about proving your worth to someone. It's about becoming whole within yourself. He's not reaching out because he's suddenly discovered something new. He's reaching out because your silence made him feel something old. That feeling of loss, of emptiness, of wondering whether the story ended, it all calls him back. He wants the comfort again, but what draws him is not who you were. It's who you've become in your absence. You see, when you heal, when you rise beyond the pull of pain, your energy changes. You no longer carry the same longing, you carry peace. And peace is magnetic. It's rare. It's what makes him look at your silence and realize that maybe he was the one who lost something priceless. Stay with me, because the next part will open a truth few ever realize. A moment when your transformation no longer pulls him back, but pulls you forward. There comes a moment, quiet, subtle, and almost sacred, when your focus shifts. When you no longer wake up wondering if he'll text. When the silence that once hurt now feels like peace. It's not that you've stopped caring. It's that you've stopped needing. That's the moment Jung would call the beginning of individuation. The process of becoming whole within yourself. You stop searching for your reflection in someone else's eyes and start recognizing it in your own. Every unanswered message becomes a lesson in self-worth. Every moment of waiting becomes a meditation in patience and strength. You begin to understand that love isn't meant to fill your emptiness. It's meant to meet your fullness. When he feels that change, he senses it immediately, even from afar. He can feel that you're no longer attached to his validation, and that energy shift shakes him, because suddenly the dynamic has reversed. The power he once had, the emotional control, dissolves. Now you're the mystery. You're the one who's free. And freedom is what every soul unconsciously seeks. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Your silence transformed him, but it also transformed you. You're no longer reacting out of fear or attachment. You're responding from awareness, from calmness, from your own center. That's when love becomes no longer about having someone, but about being someone. So when he comes back, and he will, it won't be to the woman he left. It will be to the woman who grew. And whether you choose to let him in again or not, that choice will come from strength, not loneliness. Because you've discovered something most people never do. You are never waiting for his return. You are waiting to meet yourself. Before we move into the final part, where everything comes full circle, take a moment. If this journey has connected with you, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching from. I'd love to know which souls this message is reaching tonight. And if this truth touched your heart, stay till the end, because what comes next isn't just an ending, it's a beginning. So here you are, no longer chasing, no longer waiting, no longer aching. You've entered a space where silence no longer feels empty, it feels sacred. The same quiet that once echoed with his absence now sings with your presence. And this is where real transformation begins. Carl Jung often spoke of the shadow, the unseen parts of ourselves we hide or reject. The pain of losing someone, the fear of being alone, the longing for validation. All of these are fragments of that shadow. But once you stop running from them, once you sit with your pain and listen, something miraculous happens. The shadow turns into light. You realize that every heartbreak wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every silence was an invitation to meet your soul. And every ending was simply a doorway to a higher version of you. You stop asking why he came back or if he ever will. Because now, the real question becomes, do I still need him to feel whole? And for the first time, your heart answers softly. No. You smile. You breathe. You understand that love isn't about possessing anyone. It's about awakening something divine within you. That's the truth Jung pointed toward, that relationships are mirrors. They don't just show us love. They reveal who we are. And once you've seen yourself clearly, you no longer chase reflections. You become the light itself. Maybe one day, he'll truly understand what he lost. Maybe he'll see that your silence wasn't rejection. It was growth. Maybe he'll realize that the distance you created wasn't a wall. It was a bridge to yourself. But by then, you'll already be standing on the other side, whole, peaceful, and free. If this journey touched something deep within you, don't let it fade. Subscribe now to SYC Soul so you never miss the next story that speaks to your spirit. Like this video, share it with someone who needs strength tonight, and remember, healing isn't about forgetting someone. It's about remembering yourself. Your story doesn't end here. It begins here with you.